Welcome back. For this first tutorial we will see the basics of editor. So let's start. First thing, define definitions, race. Second, game mode, race. Then you have to set up a map name, for example alpha tutorial map 1. Never forget author. And then I prefer always to use a bit of wither. For example, this should be nice. No, better this. And let's save the map. Oops, forgot something. For example, I prefer you doing always this, copying the map name and then paste it here. So, again the basics. The first thing is to place the spawn point. So I don't have you to remember that after you put the game mode here, you can rotate with your center wheel of the mouse over this button to change from default game mode to race game mode. Select the spawn point, after double click and change the vehicle. For example, Sultan. Sultan is a fantastic car for a noob test. Then we rotate it, and that's it. Now, a little suggestion, always same. When you have to perform the test, you have two possibilities. Or press F5 from keyboard, but I don't recommend it. I usually prefer to go full manual. So, press to test, race, full test. And here we are. For exit, to exit from the test mode, F1, stop testing. Why I say that? Because it's the safest way to end the test. The editor have a bad habit to become bugged if you use often F5 or other commands. So this is always the best. Test, full test, F1, stop testing. Now, something basic about the objects. Return to default object. Now I have a plenty list of favorites. Let's start with something simple. This wall, 86500. This is what I call the MSD, Mr. Self-Destruct wall. He uses it in each of his map. So, some basic commands. If you press F2, you can grab the object and place wherever you want. But you can do the same if you hold the click of the mouse and literally grab it where you want. Personal advice, always use F2, because this way, for example, I selected the object, change the visual, press F2, perfect. Second, click the object. Here you can use the wheel of your mouse to rotate it. My personal advice is to hold shift while you do this, because it do it faster. And you can, as you can see, it does some how to say, fixed rotation. So it's easier if you have to do 90-degree corners. For example, this. See, if you, for example, uses the wheel without holding shift, this is the result. the preset of rotation is much smaller. If you hold Alt from your keyboard while rotating, it's even smaller. Can you see? So this works also for the camera. If you hold Alt, you will go slowly. If you hold Shift, whee! you can go really fast. Those are basic commands of the editor. Now that we know that, the last thing. Suppose we have this wall here. A check I usually do is, for example, to see this. Do you see we have this little gap here? A little suggestion I wish to share. Always use, when possible or where is useful, double side. Double side basically enable the double side of the texture. This is helpful for some objects, like for example this one, the airport road. Because as you can see, here you have the texture, down nothing, not. If you enable a double side, it's also very nice to look when, for example, you do some bridges. You have a bridge, you pass under this road, you can see the under of this road. But back to us. Let's place the wall here. What I'm teaching now is cloning. I almost forgot of one thing very important. In the editor settings, here I use precise rotation for my purpose, because I'm a bit nerd in angles. But what you need to enable is this, lock movement to axis, because without this thing you will when you move the object, it follows the camera. See? I'm pressing up down key to move it. It's enough that I do this. If you enable this lock movement to axis instead, it follow the natural x, y, z coordinates of the map. So whatever I move, it's fixed on the axis of the GTA SA map. Last thing is cloning. Suppose I have this wall here. You have two ways of cloning, or better, not two ways, but many people do this. Search a wall, putting here, etc, etc. But this is a noob work. What you need to do is select the object, press C, and then move the other object. When you press the C letter, the object is cloned over. As you can see down, there is a warning. Then all you have to do is press C, or you press F2 and you grab the cloned object, or press C and use the arrow, left, right, up, down, and you can move it. A quick example of how useful is it. Press C, right, press C, C, etc, etc. And you have a full wall without any difficulties. So those were the basics of the editor. Now, last part is to place checkpoints. For this example, I use a full vanilla. So select a checkpoint, place it here. As I please, here you can set the color. I prefer a striped yellow, 255, 2550. Size, my favorite for a city is 11, even if personally I prefer 9. An important tip, never click vehicle, even if you don't place one, because for example, the default setup is vehicle false. If we click here and don't place a vehicle, this becomes nil, and this will cause a silly bug I will show you later. For now we go with the basics. So place first checkpoint, for example here. Now with what we learned, C for cloning, F2, we grab the checkpoint and we place here. Again, C for cloning, F2. For example, here, and over, etc., etc. Suppose, for example, I place the checkpoint here. I have a Parkinson behind, I cannot place it properly. I place it where I want. Arrow key, like any other object. This is really important for precision. I want to show you the problem with the nil I was telling about before. For example, this sequence here. I go here, vehicle. I don't select any vehicle, as you can see nil. Now let's test. Full test. Let's go to the point. A little tip, as you can see in the here we have those commands 1, 2, 3, 4. The most useful are 2 and 3, because for example 2 I come back of the checkpoint, 3 I go forward. Those are particularly useful. Here we have, this is the checkpoint, the 6th, where I place the nil. So go back and see what happens. Take a look to the car. See? Take a look to the jump. As you can see, the car jumps because it's like it's trying to do a change core with the same core you're using. Look. So when happens something like that, if it's like this, that is basically a central checkpoint, you can simply delete it. But if, for example, was the last checkpoint, you when you clone it, you clone with the bug included. I can show it to you. Cancel, nil. I clone. The new one have nil. So when this shit happens, the only way to fix it's or you delete all those checkpoints, or you go in the manually in the .map file and fix it manually. So for that, pay attention to this little detail, because when happens, it's better to delete the checkpoint and continue from the precedent fixed. For example, this was fixed and this is perfect. Oh, perfect. This is a typical bug of the editor. When happens, it's not a bug of the map, it's a bug of the MTA editor. It loses the next CD in its internal count, so you have then to manually fix it. The best solution to fix this problem is you save the map, click new, and reopen it. So it was alpha, 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 raise alpha. This is SKC editor. As you can see, I have a lot of maps. Alpha, alpha, tutorial map 1. You open this. Also, most important, this is last checkpoint. Next CD, none. Clone, and now it's fixed. Last important thing, pickups. As you well know, there are three kinds of pickups: nitro, repair, and vehicle change. I put something like meta. Don't forget that a pickup have a larger collision ratio than its image. I don't remember now exactly, but for example, this pickup here gets about until here. So if I pass here, I got both pickups. So this is it's very important when you place them. Another important thing is but what I want to show you is about the change pickup. Save, test.
What the? Oh!
Oh, nice. This is very nice. This is another bug of the editor. Black screen. When this happens, you have only one way to fix it. And this, you have to restart editor. So we basically have the map with everything erased. The best solution is to reopen our map, alpha somewhere here. See, the editor bugged and deleted the game modes. If you come here, it's totally blank. Deleted the game mode, the author, etc. Luckily, I had it on pastebin. Dockinoke. I don't remember if we kept EMSA. Deleted also the Wither. And a little suggestion I give to you. Don't keep always 12 and hot sunny. It's boring. It's a game with a lot of features. For example, take a look to this. Or another one of my favorites, Dark Clouds. There are a lot of combination. 625 that is enough clear to see, but with a bit of atmosphere. Don't even for vanilla maps, don't always be so strictly to 12 o'clock hot sunny. There are many other combinations that gives atmosphere to the maps without altering the sight, the feeling, the view. So back to us, full test. What I want to show you is what happens when you pick the change vehicle. See? Oh, this is, for example, what I pressed is also 8. It used the precedent vehicle, or 0, reset to last custom vehicle. I pressed 9 for this case, so reset to the start vehicle. Take a look to the little jump the car makes. This happens, as I showed before, even if you place the vehicle change here on the checkpoint, or if I do it here. So for example, this is an old trick of the game. I change with, I don't know, this. Okay. I want to show you the pickup jump. Something that all players know really well, especially the Destruction Derby players. Take a look. I can do even better than this. See? It causes you to jump. This is a really old trick of the game. It's used, if you use it properly, for deathmatch, for Destruction Derby maps. Let's go back to favorites. For example, this. Maybe it's a bit thin, but a bit thick, but you should perform it. Let's try. It passes through the object. Hopla. Now, I don't want you to use this for alpha maps. It's just an example to make you understand what happens. Why it's important? Because this little jump may cause, if you place a change vehicle on a corner, or the easiest way is to over a checkpoint, for example here. Suppose I do this camper. Take a look to what happens. I go full speed here. See? I lose my grip of the road because the car jumps. While usually I should perform a corner like this, well, a corner in full control, here I lose the grip. So never place vehicle change on corners. It's a very terrible idea. If you have to perform a vehicle change, do it for example here. Here is a straight road. I can change the vehicle as I want. Oh, maybe not this. With whatever I want. I know that after the checkpoint the road is straight and clean. And it's the best way to perform a change, even with pickups. Doesn't matter if it is with a point or check up or pick up. So that's what was all about. Last thing, okay, this is another personal suggestion about nose and recursive pickups. Personally, I prefer to not put in default way like this. As you can see, it how to say, it's right on sixth. It's an obstacle in the view of the map. I prefer putting it a bit like here. It's still visible, or even this. You can still understand what kind of pickup this is. For example, this. But it's not an obstacle for my view. See, my view is completely clear. This is a little suggestion I wish to share. And that said, this is the very basic for map editor usage. One last tip for the rotation inclination. So, rotation. Let's pick exactly. This is a perfect road to understand basics of rotation. Let's pick our sultan, put it here. Okay. As again, clone the object, and here we are. Suppose we want to do a little jump by using this same object. I clone it. Now we have two ways. Or mess up with, for example, the inclination. This is the X inclination. Or with the Y inclination. If you do this, it's very precise, you have full control of numbers, but it's not the, how to say, a fast way of mapping. If you hold the Ctrl key, you can use arrow to perform the same movement. For example, here I am doing holding arrow up and down, up, down. And you can combine with Shift or Alt. This is Ctrl Alt up, slowly. This is Ctrl Shift up. Whee! So this is very useful when you have to do precision jobs, like for example this. Of course, for doing ramps or like this one, there are plenty of tools. For example, I do this. Here on editor I have net tools, extreme editor tools, loop editor. You can use something like this, 0.1, 0.1, reverse. Surely this looks far better. 0.2, 0.4, 90. It's surely much better than the one I made. Go. But I'm not here to teach how to map with the tools. There are plenty of tutorials for it. For me it's important to you to understand the basics of the editor, because sometimes you need to do something like this. For example, there are only oh, I almost forgot, there are only up and down. There is also page up, page down. For example, here I did Control page up, control page down. Let's see that, for example, here, control page up, control page down, because the inclination is x, y, x, y. So that said, we will start now, in the next lesson, with some alpha tutorial. You can practice with the basic commands of the editor, but in the next lesson we will see how to use those techniques into alpha mapping. Thank you.